Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Old AJ England here out of Studio 1396, Columbus, Ohio. And I am thrilled to be here. Really, I am. It's been so long. And, that's a little tough at times. But sometimes when you leave, sometimes when you take a break, there's a little bit of a reason for it. I mean, look at me, darn it. Let's see here. I gotta do some things. The Not Bland Show. That's our boy Dujanay Bland. DJ, I saw him in Florida. I don't know if I told the world that. And we got to talk a little bit about politics. We got to talk a little bit about people and family and being well. And well, would you look at that? The reigning champ in NHRA is back on top of the standings again. Austin Prock, ladies and gentlemen, the kid with the calm hands, the quick feet, and a launch to sharp could slice brisket. Brisket. I don't want to say I told you so, but, actually, yeah, I do. Because what we're seeing from Austin Prock isn't just a hot streak. It's not luck. It's not lightning in a bottle. It's programmed dominance. From the way that Cornwell Tools Chevy rolls off the trailer to how hot that crew works in harmony like a jazz band with horsepower, this isn't new. This is muscle memory now. Austin Prock races like someone who's been there before because he has. The difference is now he's not chasing anyone. He is the one being chased yet again. And look, it's easy to cheer for Austin. He's humble. He works like a dog, never takes credit before he gives it to the team, and he's still got that just happy to be here energy, even when he's leading in the points. You ever see him after a win? It's not champagne and chest pounding. Okay, maybe it is. It's thanks, let's go again. And that's what makes him dangerous. This sport needs guys like that. Someone who's already wearing the crown, but still acts like he's trying to earn it every round. Whew. But let's take a second to talk about Paul Lee. Because if Austin's the current, Paul's the voltage behind it. At 69 years young, Paul Lee is rewriting everything you thought you knew about the tall end of a career. Most people his age are taking the win light at shuffleboard. He's pulling 382s at 328 miles an hour. And if you told me a year ago Paul Lee would be sitting this high in the points, just leading before Austin took over last week, fending off Beckman and Hagan, Tasca, I'd say, man, I hope you're right. Because it's not just good for the standings, it's good for the soul of the sport. But tonight, it's Austin Prock who sets the tone. This isn't a title defense, it's a statement season, and everyone else in the paddock knows it. The champ is acting like a rookie again, hungry, sharp, relentless. And if that doesn't scare the field, it should. So, if you're just now realizing who's the driving generation of funny car dominance, welcome to the late lap. Some of us have known for a while. Last year, Austin Prock had the great privilege of driving the AAA Auto Club car for several races. A partner that goes way back in the world of drag racing, specifically at John Force Racing, where they drove Chevy Camaros and Ford Mustangs to dozens of wins. Countless championships. Of course, Robert Height, future Hall of Famer, had great success. Gary Densham had a storied career and what he did as a shop teacher, introducing safety programs, and then they continued that legacy through Robert and Autumn Height and their social media posts. The AAA and Auto Club and the McKernan family are historic in the SoCal drag racing scene. But Auto Club, USAC, the AAA, for years, these groups, they were the sharpest looking thing on the track. Well, of course, it was the same over in NASCAR. That AAA Auto Club Ford was the sharpest looking car on the track with the cruelest streak of bad luck in NASCAR. Fast? Sure. Funded? You bet. And flashy. But cursed. The poor thing had more heartbreak than a country song. And yet, week after week, they came back. Sometimes full-time, sometimes part-time, sometimes casual, different drivers, different eras, but the same paint scheme, more or less, and the same letdown. Not anymore. Leave it to reigning and 3-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Joey freaking Logano to finally cash the check for AAA, the thing they've been trying to do since the Bush administration. That beautiful blue Ford didn't just win in Texas, it survived Texas. It outlasted, outthought, and ultimately outdrove for the chaos. You can say what you want about Logano. Some fans love him, some don't. But here's what you can't say. You can't say he's anything short of one of the greatest minds to ever sit behind a stock car wheel. You give this guy adversity, he writes poetry with it. Disqualified last week. Of course, that was a week ago. Just 1 week ago. Disqualified. Still looking for that first top 5 of the year. Did not start on the stat sheet. Most drivers would sulk. Not Joey. He goes home, tells his wife they're winning the next one, and then he cashes in and he does it. That's not cockiness, that's clarity. And Joey was crystal in Texas. This is the same driver who got reinserted into the playoffs last year and then moonwalked his way into another championship. Now, if you're watching right now and I say moonwalk, that's a little bit of an unusual, that's almost like Soulja Boy Superman, but I'm sitting at a desk. This is the same driver though, and he's like the Terminator with sponsor obligations. And for the AAA Auto Club, this is more than a win. It's a redemption arc, 20 years in the making. They stuck with the sport through thick and thin, through DNFs, blown engines, and every pit road penalty you could imagine. And now finally, they've got a trophy to point to. A points win, not an exhibition, not a clash, not a close call, a certified champagne-soaked Logano-led victory. Sincere and grounded. And if you don't think Joey Logano is one of the best to ever do it, look again. 37 wins, 3 titles, and now a legacy that includes delivering one of the longest awaited sponsor wins in modern NASCAR history. That's not just skill, that is stewardship. So the next time you see the AAA car roll off pit road, don't just admire the paint scheme, don't just recognize the pedigree. Because thanks to Joey Logano, the car finally has its moment, and the sport's a little better for it. And that takes me to tonight's Respect the Race segment. All right, let's talk about the Worth 400 at Texas. If you can even call that thing a race, by the way. Because what we watched in the final hour, it wasn't racing. It was a NASCAR-sponsored episode of Waiting Room, the series. 12 cautions, 73 caution laps. That's over a quarter of the race spent going nowhere. And you know what made it worse? Most of them were spread out like molasses in January. These weren't quick cleanup yellows. These were go grab dinner, mow the lawn, check the comments section, come back, still under caution kind of yellows. The last 50 laps felt like jury duty. You kept thinking, surely this must be the last delay. And then, boom, somebody spins. NASCAR takes 5 minutes to sweep the track, like they're preparing for a wedding ceremony instead of a green-white checkered. I mean, seriously, what was that? A race or a funeral procession with sponsors? Look, I get it. Safety first, debris matters, cautions are part of the game. But that's not what this was. This was a full-on momentum massacre. This race had 20 lead changes and 2,074 green flag passes. And you'd never know it. Because the flow is broken up, you'd swear you were watching it on dial-up. You know what else frustrates me? The timing of these cautions. Every one of them. Every time we got a rhythm, boom, another restart. Bang, another one. And half the field was trying to figure out where their tire pressures were at. It wasn't racing strategy. It was chaos management. And don't even get me started on the backstretch accordion effect. Every late restart felt like we were just rolling dice on who'd get turned out next. It's not even entertaining anymore. It's exhausting. This isn't about being anti-caution, although I can be that at times. This is about being anti-overkill. This was supposed to be a race, not an obstacle course for officiating. NASCAR has to figure this out, because when fans are tuning out during overtime instead of tuning in, you've lost the plot. thankfully, Joey Logano bailed the thing out by doing Joey Logano things. Opportunistic, lethal, calm under pressure. But let's be honest, we didn't just survive Texas. Goodness, we endured it. And in the IndyCar race, of course, if your name wasn't Alex Palou, you probably endured it too. But you know there's dominance, and then there's whatever that was from Palou at Barber. I mean, 81 out of 90 laps led? A 16-second win in a caution-free race, finishing with 63 seconds of push to pass still in the bank. That's not a win. That is a mercy rule. Let me say this clearly. Alex Palou is in the middle of building one of the greatest runs we've ever seen in modern open-wheel racing. And we're lucky we get to watch this in real time. I am not a hater of the dynasty. In fact, I very much love them. This guy isn't just the two-time reigning NTT IndyCar champion. He's also now won 3 of the first 4 races in 2025 and finished second in the one he didn't win. You want perspective? He could skip this weekend's race, stay home, and eat churros, and still lead the points by a mile. That's how insane the start is. And here's the kicker. Palou says he's still getting better. Better. Like Chip Ganassi didn't build a cheat code, he built a learning machine. Do you remember Bourdais in 2006? That's the last time someone started a season this hot. But even Bourdais didn't make it look this easy. There's something almost eerie about how smooth Palou is. It's like he's talking in cursive, but with italics. He's not throwing haymakers, he's dancing away with the trophy before anyone else knows the bell is ringing. And his ass is jiggling too. He's not just out driving the field, he's removing doubt. You watch him and think, yeah, that's the guy. That's the one you want to have to go through to win a title. Except nobody can. Colton Herta is already 99 points back. McLaughlin couldn't even stay in the same zip code. Willpower, more like doesn't have enough power, still finishing races like he's chasing ghosts. And it's not just Barber. Palou's already won 2 straight at Indy's road course, and guess where we're going next? The Sonzio Grand Prix. So go ahead, light the candles now. We might be looking at win number 4 in 5 starts. And if he gets it, just go ahead and engrave the Astor Cup. Look, dynasties don't happen often in IndyCar. The field's too deep, the rules too tight, and the talent is way too brutal. But Alex Palou? He's making a mockery of the system. He's walking through chaos with complete clarity. Call it dominance? Sure. Call it boring? Not to me. Call it whatever you want. I call it historic. And unless someone finds an extra gear and fast, 2025 already has their king. Of course, I would say in the automotive industry, Ford is clearly king. In a world where every automaker seems to be sprinting toward a cliff with a smile, Ford just sat down, lit a cigar, and said, nah, we'll wait. You've got General Motors tossing out new guidance like darts in a wind tunnel. Stellantis freezing their forecast like deer in a headlight, and the entire electric vehicle sector hemorrhaging cash faster than a TikTok startup. Meanwhile, Ford just calmly suspended their annual outlook. And I'll be honest, I respect the move. Because for once, we've got an American automaker not pretending they can predict the next 6 months of economic chaos like it's a math test, tariffs, supply chain shifts, wild policy swings. No one knows. No one knows what's coming. Instead, they certainly look better than their competitors. Ford said, we're not going to bullshit you. Fully, that's leadership. They didn't sugarcoat the numbers, didn't hide that the $1.5 billion hit they're going to take with these tariffs didn't exist. They didn't pretend the electric vehicle bleed wasn't real, and it was. But they also didn't panic. They just got creative. They rerouted Mexican-built cars through Canada. That tightened their capital, and they pivoted out of the failing electric vehicle software platform that was bleeding them dry. It's a lot of blood. That's not retreat, that's adaptation. And by the way, let's talk about the other big automakers. Because while General Motors is pretending like they can power through a $5 billion tariff hit, Stellantis is off somewhere hitting the pause button like they've got Netflix on. Ford is sitting on 79% of U.S. sales built right here in America. That's not just patriotic, I suppose, but it is strategic. That's what we call home court advantage. Now look, I'll be honest. I don't typically share my politics, and I don't care to know yours. But right now, the future is cars being built in this nation, and Ford recognized it the quickest. They're going to move forward, and their profits will be the best this year. And you know what else? They're not abandoning auto racing. It seems like the big three are all investing, but Toyota dropped out. The most American automaker they call Toyota because of their Kentucky plant. Please. Stellantis, yeah, they've got some funny business, but they just doubled down on auto racing. General Motors with the Cadillac team in Formula One, and now Ford with your patience during uncertainty. American automakers are thriving. So yeah, it's weird out there. The market's shifting, policy's unstable, electric vehicles are turning into the money pit your uncle warned you about. But Ford, they're not sprinting to be first in the hype race. They're aiming to be just right. This isn't about electric vehicles versus gas. It's not about who posts the slickest investor call. It's about surviving the storm with your values, your balance sheet, and your brain, and all of them intact. And if we're being honest, Ford's the only one in the room who's still using theirs. Okay, a little bit of a rant there. We'll end that here, but we'll talk about the NASCAR All-Star Race. Back to oval track racing. Some of my straight line friends are probably hating me, but I tell you, you oval lovers, I've got some opinions for you too. And you know what? That NASCAR All-Star Race, NASCAR deserves credit. In a world where most sports just slap a sponsor on the same steel product and call it innovation, NASCAR is out there building a full-on racing festival out of the All-Star Race, and doing it a track with more soul in its guardrails than half the calendar combined. North Wilkesboro isn't just back, it's alive. And if this year's All-Star format proves anything, it's that someone in Daytona still has the guts to try something. Heat races, pit crew challenges, the manufacturer showdown. That's not just window dressing, that's conceptual racing theater, and I'm here for every lap of it. But let's not get too comfortable in the nostalgia blanket. Because while the format's got flavor, and it is tasty, we can't ignore the fact that we're still fighting the same old problem under the hood. Aero dependency. Yeah, the racing has heart, but it needs airflow. We need some soul surgery. Our short track package needs repaired. I love a dramatic restart as much as the next guy. But if you're just best passing still comes on restarts and strategy, we're not unlocking the full potential of short track magic. And call me a hypocrite, because I've always said passing is not what racing's about. Racing is about getting to the finish line the quickest. The modern fan says otherwise. These cars still punch too big in a hole. And until we find a way to loosen up the aero grip and put the racing back in the driver's hands, you're going to see talent get stuck behind turbulence instead of writing their name in Wilkesboro history. That's the paradox. NASCAR is showing brave creativity. NASCAR is showing brave creativity with the event format, but the actual race craft still needs a little more courage. A little more chaos, a little more let the cars breathe, let the drivers brawl. But here's the thing. I'd rather have this kind of effort, flawed but fun, experimental but honest, than a sanitized snooze fest wrapped in a points chart. NASCAR is trying their building something here. And yeah, I'll take a promoter's caution over corporate caution every single time. So kudos to NASCAR for keeping Wilkesboro weird, for letting the pit crews shine, and for letting manufacturers throw elbows, and for reminding us that this sport, when it wants to be, can be the boldest ticket in town. I can't tell you how exciting it's been to come back. I've had a lot of you ask me about where I've been, what I'm doing, and what's next. We've gone tonight from the smooth dominance of Alex Palou to the chaos-crafting genius of Joey Logano to NASCAR's big swing at North Wilkesboro. And yeah, I threw a little shade at aero packages along the way. But here's what ties it all together. Racing thrives when risk is rewarded and heart is louder than horsepower. And speaking of heart, let's close tonight by shouting out someone who's got plenty of it. Grant Williamson. The NHRA Junior Drag Racing Series continues to build tomorrow's champions, and this kid is putting people on notice. A runner-up and a win this past weekend. That's not a fluke. Similar to old Austin Prock, that's a statement. At any age where most kids are worrying about their homework, Grant's worrying about dial-ins and reaction times and executing like a pro. And if you ask me, he's not just racing in the junior ranks, he's already racing like a future national star. So whether you're Alex Pello cruising to another title, Joey Logano flipping the script, or a young kid in a junior dragster chasing the next win light like Grant Williamson, the sport makes room for all of it. From titans to teenagers, the track's always watching, and so are we. That's it for tonight's Late Lap. Stay fast, stay fearless, and always live for nobody. And as I always say, be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Smile, be happy, and until then. And to our friends to the south, sea amable consigo mismo. Sea amable con otros. Sonría, sea feliz. Hasta entonces. Cuídese. Take care.